Welcome back to Echo Mind Documentaries. If this is your first time here, subscribe, like, share, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Today's story is about a man the world could not silence. For 27 years, he was imprisoned for fighting injustice in a nation divided by apartheid. But even behind bars, his voice grew louder than the system that tried to erase him. He became a symbol of resistance, freedom, and hope for millions. This is the story of Nelson Mandela, the prisoner who changed a nation forever. Most men would have broken. He did not break. He became something the world had never seen before. He spent 27 years in a prison cell, and when he walked out, he did not walk out with anger. He walked out with a plan. He was born on the 18th of July, 1918, in a small village in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. His birth name was Rolihala, a Xhosa word that loosely translates to one who pulls the branch of a tree, or more plainly, a troublemaker. His teacher would later give him the name Nelson. Neither name could have predicted what he would become. He grew up watching his father lead. A chief of the Tembu people, his father carried himself with a quiet authority that Mandela would absorb without even knowing it. When his father died, the young Mandela was taken in by a regent, Chief Jongan Taba Dalanyebo. It was in that household that he first witnessed what it meant to govern, to listen, and to serve. He studied. He pushed through barriers that had been deliberately placed in front of men who looked like him. He enrolled at the University of Fort Hare, one of the few institutions that accepted black students in South Africa at the time. He did not finish there. He was suspended for joining a student protest. Even then, he could not separate himself from the fight for what was right. He arrived in Johannesburg in 1941, fleeing an arranged marriage and searching for something larger than what his village could offer. The city showed him everything: the poverty, the pass laws, the daily humiliation of apartheid, a system of government-enforced racial segregation that controlled where black South Africans could live, work, travel, and breathe. He joined the African National Congress in 1944. He co-founded its youth league the same year. He was not interested in waiting. The older guard of the ANC believed in patience and petition. Mandela believed in pressure. He organized, he mobilized, he refused to accept that the pace of change should be set by those who benefited from things staying the same. Through the 1950s, he was defying, marching, and building alliances. The government responded with banning orders, restrictions, and harassment. They were trying to silence a voice that was only getting louder. In 1960, the Sharpeville massacre changed everything. Police opened fire on peaceful protesters, killing 69 people. The ANC was banned. Mandela went underground. He traveled across Africa and to London, building international support and studying guerrilla warfare. He came back with a changed conviction. Nonviolence had its limits. He helped found Umkhonto we Sizwe, the armed wing of the ANC. He was captured in 1962, arrested, tried, and in 1964, sentenced to life imprisonment. He was 45 years old. They sent him to Robben Island, a prison off the coast of Cape Town, surrounded by the cold Atlantic Ocean. His cell was 8 feet by 7 feet. He slept on a mat on the floor. He broke rocks in a lime quarry under a sun so bright that it would damage his eyes for the rest of his life. He was given the lowest classification a prisoner could receive. He was permitted one visitor every 6 months, one letter every 6 months. 27 years. Let that settle. 27 years of a life taken inside walls built by the very system he had dedicated himself to dismantling. And yet, something happened inside those walls that no one anticipated. He did not decay. He did not surrender. He studied, he exercised, he read, he counseled fellow prisoners, he debated, he planned. He kept himself sharp because he believed, with a certainty that defied every condition of his imprisonment, that he would one day be needed. He even began quietly to talk to his captors, not to beg, not to negotiate for himself, but because he understood something that many freedom fighters before him had missed. You cannot build a future with people you have never spoken to. He was studying them the way a man studies a problem he intends to solve. The 1980s brought global pressure, international sanctions. The campaign to free Nelson Mandela had spread across the world. Artists, athletes, governments, and ordinary people were demanding his release. South Africa was becoming ungovernable. The apartheid government knew it. On the 11th of February 1990, the gates of Victor Verster prison opened. Nelson Mandela walked out, fist raised, suit pressed, 71 years old. He had not broken. What happened next is one of the most remarkable chapters in the history of any nation. South Africa stood at the edge of civil war. Decades of oppression had created a fury that was entirely justified. Many expected, and some wanted, a reckoning soaked in blood. Mandela chose another path. He negotiated. He compromised without surrendering his principles. He sat across the table from the architects of apartheid, and he built a road forward with them because he understood that the only nation worth leading was one that had a future, not just a score to settle. In 1994, South Africa held its first fully democratic election. Every citizen, regardless of race, cast a vote. Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. The man they had imprisoned to silence became the man who led the nation. He served one term, 5 years, and then he stepped down, voluntarily, peacefully, at a time when no one would have questioned him staying. He stepped down because he believed in the principle, not the power. He spent his remaining years working on HIV/AIDS awareness, poverty, and children's education through the Nelson Mandela Foundation. He died on the 5th of December 2013, at the age of 95. There is a word he returned to throughout his life, Ubuntu, an Nguni Bantu philosophy that means I am because we are. It is the belief that a person is a person through other people, that your humanity is tied to mine, that we rise together or we do not rise at all. He was not a saint. He said so himself. He was a man who had convictions and the courage to carry them across 27 years of darkness into the light of a new country. A man who understood that the true measure of leadership is not what you do when you have power, but what you do with the years when power is being used against you. They tried to erase him. He outlived the system that imprisoned him, and the world he helped build still carries his name.